It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 351. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Are you ready for Inazuma?
Potentially. Actually, that sounds cool. Ash.
I'm kind of not.
Grace.
Hi. Also, no.
Kodra.
We're now 100 episodes away from the magic number.
451?
Uh-huh. It's what unlocks every door.
Okay. Tam.
What is Inazuma?
Thalen.
Hi.
It is. Inazuma is...
It's Genshin.
Inazuma is the Japanese-themed section of Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I think it's Genshin Japan.
Yep, it's happening this week.
So Belle, are you really not familiar with 451?
I'm very tired right now, so apparently not.
It's the running gag, like, door code in first-person shooters.
No, if you play a game that is trying to be a, like, shooter RPG explorer type, and you come across a door that has a like keypad where you're supposed to have hunted around to find like the password in the first door, you can probably either do 451 or 0451 and it'll get you in. Like this is Thief,
I recognize that number, but like I don't think I've ever made this connection before.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. My mind is blown. So there's a thing that we need to talk about, largely because I think if we don't talk about it soon, Grace and I will have to replay to remember anything about it.
Okay.
So some weeks back, okay, actually, let me take a further step back. I never played Rune 1. But at one point, late at night, I watched a video, and it looked pretty cool. And I decided, oh, I will back this thing. And I waited, and some months later, it released, and I was completely unaware. And it released through early access onto... Epic Game Store, and the truth is I don't spend a lot of time on Epic Game Store, so I didn't even notice it was there. And about a month ago I was looking for something to play, and I happened across it, and I'm like, oh hey, this is a thing. And it was really fun. Like, it was this weird, it kind of felt like a single player MMO. I mean, sort of Skyrim-y kind of feeling, but also had like these weird single-player dungeons, or at least a single-player dungeon, because I've not gotten to a second one, so that may be a outlier in the game.
Yeah, maybe it's a one-off. I don't know. I've only seen the one also, but it was really fun.
It was really cool. Like, yeah, it was, and I got to it pretty early, and you've got like MMO-style quests that you're doing.
What's it called?
It's called Rune, and it is another one of these games, kind of like Valheim, where you are a person that has been brought back to, in this case, fight back against Loki, who's trying to start Ragnarok.
I'm sure he has a good reason.
And you are, like, you died in a bad way. Like, I don't remember exactly the pretense, but it's like you fell on your sword or something like that. You're being given a second chance to die an honorable death.
So you are not one of the honored dead.
You were not one of the honored dead, but you were an honorable person. You just died unfortunately. So you were being given a second chance to fight back and try and save the world from Ragnarok and Loki and all of that. So that's the loose premise, and you get to, create a cool Viking person, and run around and kill things and craft things, and it's kind of fun.
It has a lot of crafting.
It is excessively crafty. Like, basically everything is crafted. I mean, you can get drops in the world, but, like, you can craft most of them. And you know how in Valheim you go read the rune stones and it's largely useless? It doesn't really do anything other than tell you a little bit of snippets of dialogue.
It fills you in on the story. I love them.
But they have something similar, but also when you read one of those things, you get a pattern. So you keep unlocking crafting patterns in addition to getting little bits of lore. So, like, I like the runestones in Valheim. There's just no real mechanical purpose to them, and this gives them a mechanical purpose. So I was playing the game and having a lot of fun, and I told Grace about it, and she ultimately tried it as well.
Yep, and also had a lot of fun. It's just, I don't know, it scratches a sort of MMO itch without having to have other players around, which is nice. Now, it does have a multiplayer, supposedly, but we still haven't had the chance to test it out yet.
Yeah, and it's a peer-to-peer multiplayer kind of thing, so, like, you have to make sure the ports are open on your machine, and...
Oh.
Yeah,
gross.
So yeah, like, I mean, it's going to take some fiddling to get it to work, but also nothing is really hard enough that, like, I felt like I needed other people to conquer it. But, like, there's like world bosses which drop interesting things, and
Yeah, the world bosses definitely hurt me until I got myself some better gear.
yeah,
But they were fun.
I mostly went sword and board, so, like, I could block and stuff like that. But so it's this weird game, and there's a lot of interesting things going on, and I had a lot of fun with it, but I also decided to research the evolution of this game. And apparently when it released, it was an absolute shit show. It came out last November. I wasn't paying attention. I'm glad I wasn't paying attention because they've apparently made it a decent game. But when it released, apparently it had none of the questing, none of the dungeons, none of the story to it. And when you entered the world, there was a timer at the top, like 15 minutes. And at the end of that timer, Ragnarok happened.
Oh, I do remember hearing about this
You had
game.
to fight Loki, and there's no chance in hell you beat Loki after 15 minutes of gameplay. So it resurrects you again, and the cycle starts over. And every time you go
15 minutes for your first several hours of playing.
Right. So you do that over and over and over, and each time, like, you get to keep your progress, but, like, essentially you have a fixed cycle of play before you die again horribly, and it all starts over. Now it seems that there's, like, actually a story arc to where, like, initially you're helping Heimdall and trying to find Heimdall's horn, because, you know, Loki's stolen it. So you retrieve the parts to that, and then, you know, you move into the next phase of Ragnarok because, you know, it's the Norse cycle. It is playing out. And there's a whole bunch of new spawns that happen when you're in phase 2, and the world changes slightly. And it's the same map, but, like, the map has changed because time has passed between the first era and the second era. And I think there's, like, 4 eras in the game before you finally face off against Loki, like, legitimately, and can potentially take Loki down. And all during this while, you're, like, building your character, and you're getting better gear, and you're crafting stuff, and you're helping the people of the land that are devoted to the various Norse gods. And also you can choose a Norse god as your patron, and that gives you a skill tree. I chose Thor. I do lots of AoE shit.
I chose Hell. I shoot icicles and murder people.
Yeah, so basically there's Hel and Odin and Thor that you can choose from, that you give your devotion to, and each of them has kind of a playstyle. So like Odin is super group focused, so everything you get is like really only useful if you're in a group. Like they're the support player, but which is sort of tanky, sort of healy. Hell is weird because like I think it's supposed to be the sneaky, stabby, attack from the shadowsy kind of thing, but like also like Grace said, you're throwing ice balls and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know that I would call it sneaky much. I mean, it's magic heavy and survival, so like throwing icicles is fun, but also I have like a vampiric touch on my attacks, and I have basically a damage aura, so like things that are around me are just constantly taking damage in a radius, just pretty sweet.
And then this is a game that fully believes in asshole Thor. You know, because like, you know, Norse
Classic
mythology
Thor
can go a couple different ways, but yeah, no, this is boastful asshole Thor. You know, and you're just there to make him look better. And I like the second area, you're working a lot with Thor, and he's horrible. Heimdall is always awesome. I mean, Heimdall's the best. And I assume at some point you start working for, like, I would guess probably the third area is Hell, and the fourth area is finally Odin, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, it's a fun little game, and it's like really cheap these days because it didn't do well, and now it's on a path of redemption. So apparently, like, in the last several months, they added a whole story arc and all this stuff that didn't exist at release. Because apparently their gameplay loop was, you know, die every 15 minutes and restart the loop.
That sounds really stressful.
Yeah. It sounds like a miserable time.
Yeah, that.
Like it's the Majora's Mask problem.
Wait, that was the
Majora's Mask
intended.
is actually entertaining.
That was the intended gameplay loop.
Yeah, without all the things that make Majora's Mask entertaining.
Like that was literally their gameplay loop. Was like you've got a timer. At the end of the timer, you face Loki. If you're not strong enough yet, you just get pounded into the ground and restart the loop.
But also, Majora's Mask has a lot of things to mitigate and its timer.
Mm-hmm.
Or accelerate it if need be.
But yeah, I think the only downside to them rushing to add in a bunch of stuff is that the voice acting is pretty rough.
It is not good.
It is not good.
Like, they totally got Jane from accounting.
Is this one of those cases where maybe they should have just not done it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it absolutely is one of those
So
cases.
what's worse, though...
Like, Norselish?
Okay, no, like, seriously, what is the worst part about their voice acting is it is uninterruptible.
Oh, no.
And it is going to play out in sequence. So there was... Okay... You can complete all the objectives of the quest before actually getting the quests, because you can free roam the world, and I did. And then I finally started doing the quests, and one after one, I had already done the objective, so I immediately turned in the second, I talked to him. And
all the voice acting just stacked up.
It all stacked up. So, like, I had to wait for NPC A's dialogue to finish out, and then NPC B immediately started kicking in. And this is why I'm running around town closing out quests, and I've talked to like 5 or 6 people, and like for the next hour, it's just like playing every voice line in order.
Okay, so I did not have this
I would
experience.
go from terrible to amusing.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience because if you hit F while they're talking to you, it skips their voice.
Oh, I must have missed that prompt because like I had gone into town, turned in everything, and was running around the countryside while the dialogue was playing out.
No, it's so bad. No one should have to deal with that. No, hit F, and
it's really
they will
uneven
shut the hell
too,
up.
because there's a couple that aren't half bad.
No, there are a few that are fine. There are some that are real bad.
The game also launched without any voice acting.
And maybe you should have stayed that way.
Right. So like they wrote a story, literally probably got random people in the company to voice the dialogue. And you know, and the thing is like
So
the gameplay is really fun.
Situation.
The gameplay is really fun. Like it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, no, like it is definitely a rough around the edges. So we go from a game with horrible voice acting to a game with, I'm sure, immaculate voice acting. Tam, do you want to talk about the Yuffie expansion for Final Fantasy XIV?
Yeah.
Remix?
Intergrade. We're going with Kingdom Hearts naming. It's great. Wait.
I mean, I think this one's an actual word, so you're already above Kingdom Hearts.
That's true.
It's true. So I don't remember how much we talked about FF7R on this show.
We've talked about it at different points, but yeah, several times.
I feel like it needs a spoiler show.
Probably. I need to finish it. I'm like right at the end of Final Fantasy VII-R.
Yeah, I still haven't finished it.
I am in the lobby in Shinra, not lobby. I'm in the lounge of Shinra Tower after having done the first part of Shinra Tower.
Right.
So like I don't think I'm that far from the end at this point.
You would be surprised.
I would be surprised.
You will be surprised. That is a game that you should not say, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember how it went. I'm pretty close to the end. I can keep powering through. I did this, and then an hour before the end, it was 3 a.m., and I was like, I have to go to bed.
Yeah.
I am going to Hojo's lab. That is where I'm at, and I don't know where that relates to anything, but
you have some time. Like this game is going to deceive you because it's got a lot of stuff to do at this point still. And yeah, I definitely played until like 3 a.m. because I was convinced I could power through to the end once I got to Shinra's Tower.
And it's not even really clear to tell how much time is left based on like looking up the total number of chapters in the game versus where you're at. Because like I remember one chapter was basically 1/3 of the game to this point.
Yep.
I don't even know what they decided to do to divide things up, but it is not even.
It's mostly thematic. But so the Yuffie storyline it's interesting because throughout the first, and this isn't really spoilers, throughout the first part of the game, there's a whole bunch of references to Wu Tai.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you broadly know, both from the game and if you played FF7, that like there was a war between Midgar and Wu Tai, and Midgar won, and Wu Tai was kind of in a bad way. But then you get to Wu Tai and it's like 4 houses and an inn, and you're like, how did this rest stop fight Midgar? That doesn't make any sense. I suspect we're gonna see some dramatic expansion of Wu Tai as a concept because the Yuffie expansion is, what is Yuffie doing this whole time? Like, it runs in parallel with the FF7 arc. And
so this is what was Yuffie doing before she jumped out in a forest and stole all their materia?
Right. And honestly, it sets up why she's even tracking the party to begin with, because she is.
That's an interesting divergence from the original game, because she's definitely not tracking the party, because you kind of have to find her out in the middle of nowhere, even for you to get her in your party in the first place.
Yeah, she's very optional.
She's less optional than Vincent.
Yes.
Vincent is you have a decent chance of running into Yuffie if you play Final Fantasy VII. You have a very low chance of running into Vincent, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
Vincent's
pretty much need
easy to miss.
to know that. Yeah.
You need to know what you're looking
Vincent
for.
were like two of my favorite characters.
What, Yuffie and Vincent?
Yes.
I mean, Vincent has a limit break where he turns into a Frankenstein.
It's awesome.
So, like, okay, so I found Yuffie insufferably annoying in FF7. Like, to the point where I regretted adding her to my party. Boy, does the character get a glow up. Because she's still, like, irrepressibly exuberant. But, like, it's a little short coming of age story, and it's quite good. Especially because, like, playing as Yuffie is pretty fun and completely different from all of the other characters you've played so far. They have gone to great pains to make every playable character feel very different from one another. And, like, again, this is spoilers for the first, like, 30 seconds, but she rolls into she's coming to Midgar because she's a spy coordinating with Avalanche.
That I would assume a different cell of Avalanche.
Yeah. Specifically, one of the cells of Avalanche who think that the Barrett-led cell of Avalanche are radical terrorists.
Ah.
Oh, boy.
Because that's a whole thing that didn't exist in the original, and that gets expanded upon is this idea that they're like that Barrett's Avalanche is not the entirety of it, which is what the impression that I had originally got. That it's just like six people in a basement.
So Barrett is now the Saw Gerrera of Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
Seems to be, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
all right.
Like he is an actual eco-terrorist and gets called out for being an eco-terrorist by other members of his ostensible organization. And so you get to see the other side of that, as well as Yuffie's opinions about them. It's pretty neat. And like, it expands it does a really good job of letting you look around the corners. So you never actually run into any of the main party, but you do cross paths with them. Like you see they're a presence in the game, and like the fact that they're a presence throughout this whole story segment is one of the reasons why Yuffie decides to go find them afterward. And they do a bunch more. There's a bunch more Shinra set up. Like I'd say about half of the interlude is also set in Shinra Tower, setting up more of the other Shinra execs who are terrible people.
I mean, to be fair, it seems like there was only one halfway decent Shinra exec.
It's true.
All of them, but that guy, were horrible. Just in different ways of horrible. And I can't remember his name, but it's the dude that's responsible for like building the city.
Sang?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But it drives home. There's also a post-credit stinger, which is both hilarious and I guess there's two post-credit stingers. One of which is hilarious and a delight because it's just because it's bantering, and the other one was like, oh dear. I am real hyped for the sequel. Like FF7R Part 2, probably my most anticipated game right now.
I mean, and when will we actually get that, or will we get another point of view side expansion thing first? Because, like, I don't know if anyone knows how many parts this is going to be.
I don't know that I care. Like, after FF7, it's very clear that we're not in Kansas anymore. And this drives that home in a big way. I'm real interested to see where they're going with it. It's also just mechanically fun. Like, I feel like Final Fantasy, I mean, a controversial opinion, I'm sure, that I've mentioned before, but I think that Final Fantasy, since like, when did they introduce the ATB? 4. I think that Final Fantasy for a very long time has wanted to be a real-time action game while also being a super high-tier RPG. Like, I think that was the original vision. It just wasn't possible on the technology that they were originally using, and they prioritized story and RPG mechanics over action, which was a great choice. But I think that now, I think that like right around FF10-2, they were starting to get to the point where it was like, we can imagine where we want to go with this. And so you have like 10-2, and then you've got a bunch of MMOs that are trying to figure that out. And then you've got
weird side projects like Dirge of Cerberus.
You've got you've got all those weird side projects. And then you hit like FF12, which is trying to be real. It's like this sort of foundering step into real time. And then
I think 12's is worse than 10-2's.
What?
I said I mostly think 12's implementation of ATV was worse than 10-2's.
Interesting. I actually remember
I like 12.
Yeah.
But I can see like 10-2 feels like a foundering step into real time. 12 feels like a foundering step into real time.
I mean, 12 feels like they want it to feel like an MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're rolling off
coming off of 11.
Yeah. Which captures the turn-based feeling in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I gotta admit, like, that's why I like 12 so much, is it feels like a single player MMO.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why I didn't like it at first.
But then I feel like 13 was another, like, it was an evolution of 10-2 in a lot of ways, and like ultimately turned out to not be the direction they really wanted to go. And 15 is like the prototype. Like 15's combat feels like the prototype for what they wanted to do with RPG style action combat.
Mm-hmm.
And then FF7 nails it.
Yeah, hopefully 7 doesn't have that build up time necessary to reach a point where the combat really feels good.
No, it just,
because that was the big flaw with 15 is you need to unlock some upgrades. The combat really feels good.
I never felt like 15's combat felt great, and 7's always felt good. 7 remake.
Yeah, 15's combat is dependent on some incredibly badly messaged upgrades that look like things you don't care about.
Yeah, you need some specific upgrades, and
a thing that looks like it's just an air dodge. You need that.
That's the most important upgrade in the entire game. Once you have that, the combat can sing.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't know that I ever got that one. Maybe that's why.
That might explain that.
There's like FF15. FF15 gives you some options to advance your character. You can get more HP. You can make your magic stronger. You can dodge a little better when you're in the air, or you can I don't even remember what the fourth one is. Oh, you can
take better photos.
What?
Take better photos.
Yeah. Well,
be better at camping.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that are like, take better photos, be better camping, like, but stuff with like clear material benefits.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy to start and then once you start unlock any of those, you've got other ones to unlock. So it's really easy to go down a tree that doesn't touch this air dodge that you're like, I don't even spend that much time in the air. Why do I care?
Yeah, it doesn't sound that exciting. It should be labeled "Be fucking Nightcrawler."
Yeah,
it is amazing.
Yeah, like I was probably 15 hours into the game before
it is legitimately the most important upgrade to the combat system in that game.
Yeah, like, it's so important that I think it should be baseline.
It should. Like, it should unlock on its own, like, at a certain point in the game very early on.
Early.
Is how they should have done
really
it.
early.
Yeah,
honestly,
like, give you a couple of fights without it so that you get used to the basic combat and then unlock it and and go.
It should be the thing that when you get tutorialized and have to go into the menus where it shows you how to do it, that's the one that it should force you to unlock. Like, yep, this is the one you're unlocking through the tutorial. You don't have a choice. You're going to unlock this.
Yeah.
It is, and the combat difference in that game with and without that and the tree that it builds off of is night and day. Because I mostly think combat is garbage without it. And FF7 learned really, really well from that. And so it just feels good off the bat.
I also feel like FF7 does a good job of making you feel like your different characters fight in different ways and there's different reasons to use different characters.
That's another thing that 15 did eventually do. It takes a little time
eventually do that.
Build out, but yeah.
But yeah, it's like FF7 just nails this feeling, and honestly, they nail it so hard that I actually think the turn-based combat mode is pretty good. It just, but it's like they're so confident in the real-time version of the combat that they can go back and add this. They can go back and provide a turn-based version that's also pretty neat and works surprisingly well.
I feel like my experience with FF7 Remake is different than maybe some of y'all's. Because basically the only time I use a character that is not Cloud is when I specifically cannot reach whatever I'm trying to attack.
I don't understand why you would ever not be using Barret. You can just tank all damage forever.
But
why would you not be Tifa all the time? She murders everything.
But yeah, like Tifa's fun. Barret is just this range dude.
Oh my goodness.
Barret is tank.
Barret is a ludicrous tank.
Like the worst thing that ever happened with Barret is when I equipped a weapon that made him melee, and like now he was the one dude that could hit things at range. I didn't realize that the thing I equipped was just a melee weapon.
Barret says all of my allies like transfer their damage to me, and I drastically reduce how much damage I take, and I'm just active tanking entire boss fights.
Yeah, but big sword.
Yeah,
and that's the joy of it. Like, I think that's what FF7 accomplishes that FF15 missed, is like every character is a distinct play style and has a good reason to play them.
I think FF15 is like that now. It wasn't when we played it, though.
Yeah.
Because playing as, not Prompto, I don't really like playing as Prompto, but...
Ignis?
Yeah, playing as Ignis is lots of fun.
Yeah, Ignis is great.
But yeah, I look forward to seeing all of the... Like, there's still a number of characters that they have yet to add for obvious reasons. You haven't gotten to them. And while I can't say that I'm excited about Katshi, like at all, ever. Maybe they'll make that character fun.
Yeah.
Hope you like dice.
I don't. If there's dice involved in a character in a JRPG, I'm probably out.
They could make that not awful. FF 10-2 again had a really good gambler class.
It did.
That's fair.
I just want Red 13.
Yeah. He's great. I suspect Kodra is trying not to say something.
Yeah, well, I mean, spoilers for a 20-year-old game.
If you remember where you find Red 13 in the original FF7, it's the same as here.
Okay.
And maybe when we get to the appropriate point, they'll give us an entire Vincent side story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could use it.
Well, and I think that, so this is the thing that Bel and I disagree on, but there's a bunch of sequences in the game where like your party is kind of defined for you. And I really like what they do with those, because they present you good reasons to use. They do a thing that the original never did, which is force you to use different characters and actually learn them to understand what they're good at, so that you can decide who you want to use later on, rather than just using the first 3 characters you get for the entire game. And then you also get all of the great banter. Like, there's an absolutely delightful banter section through a sequence that I otherwise would have hated, because it's so annoying and it's my worst like RPG. It's like my least favorite RPG biome, but it's in every RPG and I'm so tired of it. But they're like, yep, we know this sucks, but here's a whole bunch of delightful character banter.
It does entertain me that Final Fantasy is apparently moving full real time simultaneously with Yakuza saying we're going to be turn-based forever.
Was Yakuza originally turn-based?
No.
Oh no.
Yakuza has always been a brawler.
Yeah.
Like a Dragon is the first turn-based one, and they have said this is where Yakuza is going. That
Honestly,
said,
it
there
works.
is an offshoot series where you play a private investigator that does continue to be a brawler.
Judgment?
So yeah.
Maybe I need to start playing Yakuza
Which I
because
didn't-
I've stopped liking Final Fantasy games.
Like a Dragon is great. Ichigo is like the most likable character. Like
That game has the worst difficulty spike of any JRPG I've ever played.
I
That last boss is brutal.
I never had any problems. Admittedly, I haven't actually finished it. I need to, but I think part of it is I think you need to actually go grind in the dungeons at the appropriate times for a little bit. I don't
It
know how
goes
much
from
you
level
did that.
30 some enemies to a level 50 boss.
Oh, I'll remember that because I just started playing it in the last few weeks.
If you haven't gotten to a third city, then you haven't seen it yet.
That is, yes, I'm not at the third city yet. I'm still in the second.
But yeah, it's great. I actually didn't know about Judgment until very recently, and I clearly need to get it.
I remember reading about it when it first came out, and then it got re-released recently.
Well, there's a sequel now.
Yeah, and now there's a sequel, but the sequel's not available on certain platforms because licensing problems with the main actor.
Well, I think what it was, I think they had to re-record the voice acting for one of the characters because of naughtiness on the part of the voice actor in question. I have to go look again, but I think that's the initial thing that I saw about it, and then was like, wait a minute, this is an offshoot of Yakuza. Like this takes place in the same world. But yeah, if you like turn-based RPGs, Like a Dragon is great. One of your early party members is a homeless guy that can summon crows.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I have been experiencing with some of the other jobs, but I find that in that person's case, his original one is very nice.
Like one of them is like a chef, isn't?
That's one of the
Yeah.
that's one of the other jobs that you can take, and it can be really good. Devil Rocker is real good.
Really? I didn't find that to be that useful.
I like it
Especially
a
since
lot.
weapons for it are hard to come by.
I mean, that's true. There's only like that and the
The Naginata
other
class,
unlockable one.
Patriarch.
Yeah, but both of those, like, there aren't any just random weapons for them out in the world. You have to go find the place to purchase them from the
Which is
weapons
black
guy.
market.
Yeah.
The very, very expensive black market.
Yes, but I mean,
Money does also eventually become not a problem.
money eventually becomes not a problem. Eventually, you turn the cracker stand into a mighty real estate empire and can just make all the money.
Okay, so Adventures in Forgotten Realms.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this topic going?
I mean, there's a new Magic set. It's a
Oh,
new Magic set that got me
right.
playing Magic again.
Uh-huh.
I forgot that was even a thing. Like I knew it was a thing, but I forgot it was a thing.
Yeah, it's out digitally. Are the physical cards out yet?
I think so. It's definitely on. You can definitely play it on Arena.
Yeah, because I know it came out digitally first, and I have no intention of buying new physical cards in any case. Like
Well,
that way, less
Every
madness.
set seems to come out first on Arena, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Think so.
Like Arena gets it when the pre-releases happen or something.
Well, yeah, I think it's already been happening. I think pre-releases have happened for it.
Yeah. The actual release is the 23rd.
Okay,
So next Friday.
but yeah, so it's been out on Arena for like 2 weeks now, and it's a D&D themed Magic set because they finally decided to put the chocolate in the peanut butter.
They did such a good job with it, though.
They did. Like it's really neat. I like the new card types. Classes are great.
Classes are interesting.
Like I'm definitely using a class in my deck, and I'm trying to think of like decks that I've come up against that weren't running classes, and like since I switched to ranked 2022, I don't think I've run into any because that awful mill deck doesn't exist in ranked 2022.
I think I'm mostly just sad that the Druid class they printed is not very good.
I'm having second thoughts on that actually because I didn't realize Landfall was a thing when I saw that class.
Oh, Landfall's amazing.
Landfall's definitely a thing.
And I've seen some Landfall
Mhm.
decks that run the Druid class, and
Oh,
that's rough.
Interesting. I
'Cause
forgot that landfall is a thing.
Yeah, because they get some landfall creatures out, and then they drop 2 lands in a single turn, and then they cast Scale the Peaks or whatever it is to drop a 3rd land, and then like madness occurs.
Landfall is one of those mechanics that can snowball real quick.
Yeah, Druid helps that a lot. Like I feel like in like classes and equipment are like a big part of this set. So your deck really needs to have ways to deal with them. Like I've been running a green-black deck that is like put counters on all the things, and it was doing pretty okay. And then I added a couple of eye twitches so I could pull in containment breaches and a couple of broken wings. And now I tend to win 3 or 4 games in a row before I lose one.
So you're learning, and yeah.
Because I put in an eye twitch, and then like if I need to kill an enchantment or an artifact, I get that eye twitch dead. If I have to, I kill it myself because I've got some compound fractures. But usually I just block something with it. It does feel strange to me that you can have multiple of the same class on the board simultaneously. It's weird.
I didn't realize Compound Fracture does not exist as a physical card.
Oh, is it an arena?
It's just an arena card.
Well, it means it'll always be available for standard.
Well, it's not actually in standard.
Well, for arena standard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Apparently that's also the case with Shock, and some people are touchy about it.
Well, whatever.
But no, it's like this is a really cool like Forgotten Realms D&D themed set. It's got a lot of, characters in it that are recognizable from Forgotten Realms stories and things. Like Trist is in it. The Xanathar is in it. Minsk is in it.
Minsk and Boo are in it.
Yes. Sorry, Boo is in it, and also he brings Minsk along.
I'm just glad, the competent one.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that the weird firewall between Magic and D&D is apparently going down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been going down for a while in the other direction. This is just finally time to bring it into the cards.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hoping if this does well that maybe in the future they'll do sets based around other, settings. Like a Planescape set would be really awesome. I don't know if they need to do Ravenloft. Like
they already have
Innistrad.
Yeah, they already have an Innistrad, so there's no real need to do Ravenloft. Except maybe to get like a Strahd card printed or something.
If that ever exists, it's probably going to be in a secret whatever drop.
Probably not. That was an extremely unpopular thing they did to print new cards in a secret lair.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Also, the other thing you probably need to be able to deal with in your decks now is flying creatures. Because I'm going to tell you a secret. There's a lot of dragons in this set.
Oh my goodness. There are dungeons and there are dragons. It sounds like you've mostly been playing Constructed.
Yeah, I've been mostly playing Standard. 2022 Standard.
I have mostly been playing Limited. And let me tell you, this is a fun Limited environment. Lots of venturing into dungeons, lots of rolling dice.
The dungeon mechanic it's powerful. Like, ignore it at your peril.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's better in Constructed or in Limited. Like, in Limited, it's just a whole bunch of value stapled randomly around.
I mean, I can tell you I ran a sealed because I had enough gems to do it, and I got totally bodied. And all 3 decks that I went up against summoned the Atropal. Yeah. And I did not do any dungeon venturing because I got like 4 cards that would allow me to venture, and only one of them was a like repeatable way to do it, and it was that stupid bird.
Which bird?
The 1 mana white bird that lets you tap it and another creature and spend 3 mana to venture.
That's
bad. Awful.
And it's a sorcery speed. Yeah, it's very bad.
Like, no, you want like the torch or the map that's basically like a soul ring, but also you can venture with it.
Yeah. Or the rope. 50 feet of rope. So I think for me, what I really want to talk about with this set is some of the flavor decisions that they've done. I want flavor text for abilities to be all over the place from now on.
All of the cards with multiple options.
Modal cards have always have existed for a while.
Right, but now they have flavor text for all the modes.
Now they have flavor text for all of the modes. I especially love it when it's the card is just something a GM is saying to you.
Yeah.
Like you come across a pair of goblins. Do you befriend them, in which case you create 2 1/1 goblin tokens, or do you fight them, in which case all creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn? Or you come across the wizard, the villain's lair. Do you foil their schemes, in which case you counter their spells, or do you rob its riches, in which case you draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards?
Yeah, that card's in like every blue deck that I've run into.
I mean, it's cancel with an alternate mode. Of course it is.
It's great. Like I feel like cards that give you multiple ways to use them are just really good.
Well,
Versatility is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's more options. It's
especially
less chance that you run into a situation where the card that could deal with this situation is in my deck somewhere.
Yeah, especially when you are when a card is sort of a only sometimes useful card, you want to have the card be able to not just be dead in your hand.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really a big fan of that. I am a big fan of classes, as we said. I haven't gotten to use them much other than the wizard class, which mostly seems like a decent drawing engine.
I mean, if you're running a life gain deck, you should be using Cleric.
Oh, that is
true. My lord. My deck, I'm using Ranger because my deck is about putting +1/+1 counters on all the creatures.
Well, Ranger is fine because at the minimum, it's a bear. It's a 2/2. It's a 2/2 token for 2.
Yeah, it summons a bear when you put it out. So even if you don't get anything else out of it, you got a bear.
But it's actually a wolf, so it's definitely going in my commander deck.
Yes. But then you upgrade it, and then every time you attack, you put a +1/+1 creature counter on one of your attacking creatures. And then you upgrade it again, and then if the top card of your deck is a creature, you can cast it from your deck.
I feel like this is the deck I want to play.
It's so good.
I like creature decks.
I made this. I made this deck I needed a green-black deck for one of the daily quests. I was like, okay, what can I do with green and black? And I had gotten a Hagra Constrictor recently. It's like, oh, things with counters get menace. There's a lot of things in green and black that get counters. Maybe I can do something here. As it turns out, I could do something there. It's actually a really good deck. I'm almost to platinum with this deck. I'm sure it won't compete at Mythic, but it's a lot better than I expected. I also tried to make the blue-red rolling dice Delina deck that I was dreaming about, and it did not work at all. I think I need some more cards to make it work.
Okay, next topic. New Final Fantasy XIV news. I don't know what direction this is going in, because there's probably multiple things that could be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tam stubbed out the cards,
this topic has been on the here for so long that I don't even know what it's about.
I'm trying to think what's...
No, this was added.
Probably from the live letter and stuff a week or so ago, yeah.
Probably.
I'm trying to remember what there's they're putting in a lottery system for housing, so you might actually be able to get a house now.
Yeah,
maybe.
I just have to acquire, the millions of gil to allow me to get in on the lottery, because I would love to have a house.
I mean, a small house is only like 3 million.
It's not that bad.
Yeah,
I've never had anywhere close to that amount of money in this game.
Look, honestly, Belle, if you don't have that much money by the time the lottery system comes out, just let me know. I will spot you the money. I am still quite wealthy. This hasn't changed.
I haven't done crafting. I've made a lot of my money just by being a tank.
Yeah,
there's
lots of opportunities to make lots of money in this game.
I have noticed now that I've started rouletting a lot. That's a good chunk of cash.
If you do your hunts every day, that's a lot of cash.
I'm terrible at making money in that game.
I'm sort of adds
okay
up
at it,
over
and then
time.
I spend lots of money on something that looks pretty.
I mean,
well, so the problem that I'm running into is I am bouncing around 1 million gil, And what
that's about where I'm
happens
at.
is I will end up getting up one of my beast tribes and then burning through like 150k real quick as I buy their mount and their pet. And then I go back down, and then, you know, before long I'm bumping up against 1 million again.
Oh, also they're getting rid of belts, so pants will fall down.
Yay.
They're
And,
getting
like,
rid of belts so that they can repurpose the slots in the armory chest for weapons and rings.
Yay.
I feel like the night
opposite of
before
the-
this happens, I will be going to my grand company and turning in all my belts.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of the aesthetic that Final Fantasy has been working on for a while.
Yeah.
Well, every
So let's be
outfit has a
clear.
belt by default.
In FF14, belt is the only slot that is non-cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
You can see your necklace, you can see your rings, you can see your earrings, you can't see your belt.
Well, and
Pretty weird.
there's even like stupidly rare rings, like the giant cactpot ring.
Yep. You wear that thing, you can show it off, but not your belt.
Also, one thing going back to beast tribes and their mounts and stuff, the later ones you get tokens from the beast tribes, so you're not spending money.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure starting with Heavensward, that's the case.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Because, like, yeah, I burned through and bought all of the... Like, I had never maxed out any of them. So, since coming back, I've maxed out all of the originals. And I don't know where the Unified quest starts, but I got to do that now, because I've got Nyx all up as well.
I was going to ask if you got Nyx all up, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a Crafter 250 now. And it was Carpenter because at one point Carpenter was OP as hell and everything needed Carpenter, so I thought I'll get it out of the way.
Yep.
And that was just the highest one. Everything else is in the 20s to 30s.
So the good news now is because cross-class abilities are gone, you can run that one up entirely for the rest of your crafting beast tribes.
Maybe I will look at my goldsmith again. Every time I look at my goldsmith, it just brings me pain, but maybe it's better now.
There are no more cross-class abilities for crafting classes.
Yeah.
Nope.
They're just gone.
It's not just that. It's also my goldsmith is decked out in level whatever the initial cap was, like 5 materia over melded gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which at this point needs to be replaced.
Yeah, like it's totally worthless, and
I mean,
it was never actually useful to me.
I can hook you up if you need me to.
I mean, this was
But yeah, Omnicrafting
back when you were 50,
is no
right?
longer necessary.
Yeah.
Like you can focus on a single crafting class and be just fine.
Yes, at the point at which I had Armorsmith the 50 and you had Goldsmith the 50, they were basically useless because we didn't have all the other things leveled. And I never bothered to get all of the stuff melded because I knew I didn't have all the other things leveled.
I had like a couple of things that I wanted to make, but I couldn't because it didn't matter that I had fancy gear.
Oh, Bel, the Beast Tribe thing, it starts at your Grand Company.
Okay. Yeah, because like I had no clue where it started, so I just figured I should do that because I've heard it's delightful. I enjoyed making an airship. It was pretty great.
Yeah, all the Beast Tribes are really entertaining.
Like, that's one of the things I'm doing every day is doing my 12 Beast Tribe quests, kind of divided out 3 and 3 and 3 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, they're also good XP for, classes at the appropriate stage.
Well, they get real good when you get to the fairies in Shadowbringers, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like-
about 6-7 million XP a day.
Yeah,
Yup.
it's an exceptionally large amount of XP. I do like that once you get to Heavensward, you can really only do 3 quests per tribe a day, period. You can't stack like 9 quests.
Yeah, on the days that you upgrade your reputation level, you get to do an extra 3, but usually you can just do 3 per day.
Like, at some point, I want to mess around in the EverQuest zone.
Eureka.
Because like I never made it anywhere in
Yeah.
there. But like, it's low on my priority list of things to play with.
Eureka's pretty entertaining and a lot better than it was initially. Like
I mean, at this point, you could just mess around in Bozja, couldn't you?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and Zoja or
Bozja.
is
Soja.
is definitely is definitely an
La la.
improved Eureka. Like, so the problem with Eureka is there was a lot of grind your face off on individual creatures to try to get fates to spawn, and in Bozja the fates, like, instead skirmishes spawn, and they're basically just normal fates. And when you complete the normal fate, there's a chance that a special, like, fate that you have to queue for spawns. And these are the things that you get, like, zone XP for. And so it feels a lot less oppressively grindy, at least so far. No, I'm not super far into it.
It
Found
does
Red Comet
get
yet?
very. Oh, Red Comet. Oh.
I have fought Red Comet. That was rough. We won, but a lot of us were dead. I was dead.
Did you? Is this the Bozja version or the Zadnor version?
The Bozja version.
Okay. Spoilers. He's in Zadnor too.
Oh.
But yeah, if you can tell, a lot of us are playing Final Fantasy XIV again. So
Yeah.
Oh, the
It's-
benchmark dropped too.
Yeah. And
I should run that.
Make your bunny boy.
I mean, I can get extremely high if I drop it down from 4K. But like if I run 4K max, it's very high.
I don't
And
have
you know
a 4K
what?
monitor, so
I feel like I'll be lucky if I hit very high.
Just shy of 100 frames per second average at 4K maximum everything. It's fine by me. That sounds great.
Like, I feel like I'm going to run the benchmark, and it's going to make me sad, and then I'm going to be angry that I can't get a new graphics card.
Yeah. I can I just say how much I love the fact that there's a benchmark every time,
It is really cool.
and the
And
fact that like you
and that
can
they
import
attach,
your
like-
character creator settings from it to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very nice of them.
If you've ever played the game, right now there's a welcome back event going on. And I
Yeah,
don't
just-
remember how long you have to have been away.
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, if you've been away for 30 days or longer, you've got the standard 2 weeks free available to you. My problem, sadly, I couldn't take advantage of this because I've stayed subscribed so that I could keep my house from falling down.
Yeah, I've also just stayed subscribed because it's a hassle to cancel everything and turn everything back on. Because I have more retainers than I should.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens when you no longer have those retainer licenses.
I think they just
And
you
lock.
just can't summon them.
Yeah.
You just can't
okay.
summon them. Yeah,
Like, there's still-
I
it's-
have
Yeah.
that thing going on.
It's,
Because
yeah,
I am terrified of losing all the crap that's on them.
No, you just can't
No.
summon them.
So the weirdest thing coming back, and like I kind of stubbed this out as a topic, and I think I've talked about it to some extent before, but like I had developed over the last several years this mental block about queuing as a tank, and I don't know where it started, and I don't know why it happened, other than the fact that like I probably came out of one of my turtle modes and just didn't feel like tanking. But like I got in this loop where I didn't feel like I could tank unless I had a full party of people, and we rarely ever had a full party of people, so I just didn't tank anymore. And I started playing a samurai. And I don't know how, but I have basically obliterated that mental block coming back. I started playing Paladin, and I decided I really like Paladin, and I ran it up from like 50 to 80.
I was going to say, it's probably how fun playing Paladin is now that helps fix that.
It really
Paladin is a lot of
is.
fun now.
But so the other part of this equation that like I kind of realized the other day is at some point the class fantasy of playing a warrior changed. And I guess what I mean by that is like when we first started playing, warrior was this big beefy hit point pool that could regen health. And like I liked the feel of that. I was like this big, like, you know, like large hit point number, and you know could tank and had a fun cleave. And over time, it feels like the player fantasy of warrior has turned more and more towards I'm a DPS that can tank.
Hmm.
Because, like, a lot of the themes, like, so when they did a great flattening of Warrior, and all of the abilities they chose were all of the DPS abilities, which is fine, but, like, I kind of liked the animation of the one that regenerated health. I can't remember the names of any of the attacks, but...
It was Inner Beast.
Inner Beast, yeah. I liked the look of it.
You still have that animation.
It's Fell Cleave now, isn't it?
Unless you're under Inner Chaos, in which case you get the old animation back with some extra
okay.
particle effects.
But, like, a lot of Warrior feels like you're setting up to do a lot of DPS.
It's also the most ridiculous self-healing tank, though.
It is, but I don't know why, but there's just some disconnect that I have with Warrior now. Like, I don't enjoy it as much, and Paladin still feels very tanky, but it, like, is also super fun right now. And has the most broken AoE tanking abilities.
Yeah, spinning to win as Paladin is great.
It's the same as almost everybody else's.
Also, I have straight up survived after the healer's gone by healing myself with Clemency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hit my next 5 spells or instant, and then one of those could be a Clemency.
Yeah.
And it's great.
More than one of those can be a Clemency.
I mean, if necessary.
Like, I've saved the healer multiple times with Clemency. Because, like, yeah, you're a little low over there.
Usually I only need to make one of them Clemency.
But yeah, so, like, it's... I don't know. It feels the right kind of tanky for me right now. So I'm running around as a Paladin, and I'm enjoying it. And also queuing lots. And it's weird to me that like just kind of flipped a switch overnight. I
am trying to get back into the swing of things, and I'm struggling. Like,
I think for me, easing in with a class that I was leveling helped.
Yeah.
Because it allowed me to do small things and build up to big things.
Yeah, I definitely spent some time focusing on leveling some lower classes and like doing random things before I started focusing on the story again.
It's honestly not.
Oh.
It's honestly not really that. Like, jumping into the story isn't the hard part. It's I haven't been enthusiastic about combat.
Yeah.
Like, I love the story. I'm here for the story.
Well, and you've kind of reached a point where you just don't love hotbar combat.
I don't.
Yeah, that's true for me as well.
I don't think it's hotbar combat so much as because there's plenty, like, hotbar combat is just you have a set of abilities. It's the WoW FF style. I have 30 abilities that I need to be able to access on my bar and play piano. I just don't want to.
I mean, honestly, I usually ignore like 4/5 of those.
I feel like I have 1 bar's worth of abilities that I use all the time. And then I've got a lot of other abilities that I situationally mix in. But like my second bar is all things that I hit off hotkeys still, but like I don't use super often. And then when you get to the third bar, it's just stuff that I use once in a blue moon. But like every single one of my characters kind of has a dance going on. And so I got to this point where there's a trial, and Thalen did the trial today, and it is a fight. Like it is a thing, and I didn't want to tank it. So thankfully my samurai is geared. Thanks to Thalen, I switched over to my samurai and did it as a samurai. But like the first few minutes of the fight were me relearning the samurai dance, because for whatever reason it's laid out in a specific pattern and I have to remember the dance to play it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've jumped on Samurai, Gunbreaker, Black Mage, Red Mage, and Summoner so far.
Have you played Dancer?
Yes, I don't really like it.
Really?
No.
Oh man, that seemed like a U class.
It's not. It's really not. It's like, no, it's very much not for me.
Do you like giant robots? Because Mechanist now has giant robots.
That's not a giant robot. Are you kidding? That's like a medium-sized robot at best.
Look, it's giant to a Lalafell.
Okay, he's got a
Size
point.
1/2.
And like, I don't know, maybe the summoner, this expansion summoner rework will help. I mean, right now summoner is just a mess. Like,
It has been for several expansions.
it wasn't awful last expansion. It wasn't great, but it wasn't like frustrating. It doesn't cause me physical pain to play it anymore, whereas it used to.
That's an improvement from the start of the expansion.
It's why I stopped playing it at the start of the expansion, because like to play it well, it was physically painful. Like Samurai is I think the most fun. I'm discovering that I don't have any opportunity for self-expression in any class.
Oh, yeah.
That's what fashion is for.
True.
No, but for me, like there's no build, there's no interesting mechanics to try out. There's no I have tons of fashion.
Yeah, this is 100% true as far as class design in that game goes.
And I think that's a thing that I'm finding myself uninspired by.
There's no talent trees or alternate weapons or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no opportunity for self-expression in class mechanics. And I find that I miss that.
I sort of do, but also I sort of don't. Because even when there is, there isn't.
Yeah. That's honestly what I kind of like about the game is there was a golden path in every game, and you were actively harming yourself if you didn't follow it. And now there's just the class. It's the way the class plays. Like there's no pretense of artificial choice. I mean, because like even in vanilla and BC era, like there was a correct choice. Like you could go down other paths, but there was probably a correct choice per patch.
I mean,
at least as a warrior, there was absolutely a correct path.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I started checking out of WoW when there was only one right choice. And I never played classes that only had one right way to play them because I didn't like that. And I think that if every class were as tightly well designed as Black Mage, I might feel differently, because then you would be sacrificing that self-expression for a really, really elegant like gameplay loop. But like they're just not. I found myself wanting fewer buttons by like 70%.
I still wish so badly they would just pull in the combo system from PvP.
I was just going to say, yeah, it really needs that across the whole board in the game.
Yeah, that's
that would reduce the buttons across all the melee classes by so much.
Yeah.
It really would.
I feel like on my bars, I mean, Summoner is one of the worst offenders.
I mean, yes. Summoner has too many abilities.
Yeah.
Well, Summoner has too many abilities and too many mechanics that have absolutely no bearing on one another. They're just not they're like, Ether Flow doesn't do anything meaningful. It's just a thing that you hit when it's up. And Trancing Trancing isn't really, it's just a button that you press every so often. It's not like, hit this button when it's available, but it's not like, building into any other mechanics. It's just like four wheels that are all spinning independently of one another.
Well, and they've shown at least some willingness to do away with things like that, where it's just like you need this thing to always be happening or you're awful. Like lightning reflexes is gone. They just got rid of it. They decided this isn't fun.
Right. So, yeah. And like I think that's an improvement.
Oh yeah.
It is a very large improvement.
I mean, I think that some of the stuff they did with Samurai, where they recognized what button is fun to press and make the class about building up to and pressing that button, is pretty good.
Well, and like the thing that I especially noticed on the tank side is we used to have so many cooldowns. Now we only have a couple cooldowns. We have basically the one that is up all the freaking time, and you need to use it. all the time to kind of curb damage input. And then you've got a couple other shits, but like they're on short enough cooldowns that it doesn't feel bad that you're missing like a stack of 6 of them.
Yeah,
but I still make a macro though.
I don't, because I don't have 6 things to stick in a macro anymore.
I basically have one that has the Shelton attack as the default, and then after that it's Sentinel and Rampart, and then I leave Hallowed Ground out because it's basically the Paladin home gang.
Yeah, because it's on like a 10-minute cooldown.
7-minute cooldown.
It's long.
Right, but like it's your real shit button.
Yeah, it's I need to not die right now.
Fun fact, a lot of boss attacks go straight through it. If it's intended to kill you, it's probably going to go straight through it.
Yeah.
It is my, oh crap, healer died, boss is almost dead, let's finish it.
It works on the Mudman. I don't have to run out for Royal Flush. That's what matters.
I use it in dungeon pools when I get concerned about the healer catching up.
Yeah, I have run into several healers that take that whole, you're supposed to do DPS a little too far.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing these days.
I get real twitchy when I stay at 10% for a really, really long time.
You're not dead, right?
Yeah,
just
like
keep hitting stuff and pull more. Come on.
If I'm sitting at like 10%, I'm going to start casting Clemency on myself.
That's fair.
Here, I'll help you. Since you're over there DPSing. I'm consistently shocked still at how chill all the groups have been. And like, I've had some level 80 wipe fests. And people just kept plugging away and continuing. And, I've not had anybody rage out or anything. I mean, I'm sure that exists, but...
Yeah, I mean, they're out there, but... like, Square does seem to have successfully, built-in incentives and disincentives that actually have an effect.
Like, just the subtle pressure of trying to fish for a commendation seems to work. Like, I mean, and 90% of the communication that happens in a group with the message at the beginning and the message at the end, people are just putting their name out there to fish for a commendation.
Yeah.
But it I don't care. Like, it succeeds.
Yep. It has the desired effect. I'll take it.
One of my most miserable days when Shadowlands released was when I was grinding heroics trying to get my item level up and encountering all manner of horrible behavior in those dungeons. Not to mention that was the plague of people dropping after every boss because it didn't drop whatever the hell the thing they wanted was.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that. That sounds awful. And obvious that would happen.
Yeah. Well, and earlier we were in a dungeon and we had a non-English speaking healer that was only communicating through the translation system.
Yeah.
And they were super good. Like, they're really seemingly friendly. And they disconnected at some point during the run, probably 2 pulls away from the final boss. And none of us wanted to kick them.
Yeah.
So we stood around and waited 15, 20 minutes and finally said, okay, when the counter gets to this, we're going to refill a healer. And it did. And I felt bad, but we gave a significant amount of time to try and get back in if you were having to fight a queue or whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody was moody about sitting around. We were just sitting there chit-chatting in the dungeon waiting on the timer or the healer to come back. And it's not that we gave it that amount of time because we were afraid that it was going to take forever for a healer to fill. Because as soon as we ended up kicking the healer, we got a healer instantly. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that we were waiting.
It's just you want to be nice.
Yeah, like we didn't want to. We wanted to finish the dungeon with this healer because like they were super nice, and I hated the concept of kicking them, but I mean also we didn't want to sit there until the entire dungeon timer had ticked down. So
yeah, like you give them enough time that if they crash the desktop and have to deal with that they can get back in, and Oh, also, Bel, I've been watching those YouTube videos that you mentioned before, and
they're
you were right.
charming
It
as
just
hell.
it feels so great to see this guy like just making his way through the original story and being really excited about it and discovering gathering and getting real into it and discovering crafting and like
Getting super into ocean fishing.
spending a lot of time with the gold saucer. Spending his gold saucer currency on triple triad packs, even after people told him not to. Because
That's a
he
bad
just loves
idea.
opening packs.
Let the man open his
Opening
packs.
is fun. I realize it's the wrong way to play any kind of card thing, but
But it's that little hit. It's like loot boxes, but way less. What's the word?
I mean, I've opened a couple of them and like gotten some decent stuff out of them.
It used to be the only way to get a Warrior of Light, but I don't think that's true anymore.
I don't think it is. That's something that I should do at some point. Is work on my triple triad, since there's a whole lot more cards in the game than when I was playing
so
before.
many cards. I've been picking up random ones from dungeoning. Yeah, because like
If I
I
remember
collected
correctly,
a
they
lot
changed
of
the rule set so that 4-star cards are no longer worthless.
Oh,
that's good.
I should check my deck then, because I did not know that.
There's also a mount now for collecting triple triad cards.
Wait, what?
Nice.
I didn't know that.
Hmm.
How many? Do you
I am
know?
not entirely. I just know you don't have to do like the championships or whatever.
Okay.
And it's new. Like I think they just put it in last patch, anyways. But yeah, so it's super new.
I currently have 131 cards. Oh my gosh, you're right. A deck may now contain 1 5-star, up to 2 4-stars, and then 2 3-stars, because you're never going to use.
It's really
Anything less
2
than
stars higher than 4. 2 cards higher than 4 stars. So it's really 1 5, 1 4, and 2 and 3 3s.
Oh yeah, 4 stars or more. So you can put in a 5, a 4, and then 3 3s. Oh my gosh, that's
wow. That makes almost all of my cards in my collection worth something now.
like
Yes, 4 stars are no longer completely pointless.
I don't have that many cards. I have like 77.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I can put Gilgamesh in my deck. Or Gigi.
I need to throw myself at Rathalos Extreme
I need to do
I've
some
done
more of
that a few
that.
times.
because I want the mount,
Mhm.
which is just a stupid amount of totems.
You need a bunch of
But
yeah.
I also
So-
want a Pookie. I need a Pookie.
I think I have a Poogie. The Poogie drops pretty often. So I was doing that for a while. I was just doing like 5 runs at a time. And I think I got up to like 25 or so, but I never finished it. It's not terribly difficult, provided people are aware that mechanics exist still.
Yeah.
There are potions. You need to use them.
Yeah,
This
that.
matters.
Well, and aggro also is weird.
Aggro doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But you can do it in one down if your group's DPS is high enough and you target very smartly.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that you're actually allowed to do it unsynced now.
You are allowed
That
to
is
do it in sync
correct.
now.
Yeah. So there's that too.
But you still have to pay more attention than
Right.
you might expect.
Yeah. But like we might actually be able to go in with fewer than 4 people or fewer
Yes,
than 8
but
people, and
Yeah,
It's,
but
it's four person
It's
max
for-
anyway. So
Yeah, for the X is 4.
that's right.
Oh,
It's the
I
level that's 4.
assumed
Or that's
I
8.
assumed the EX would have been 8.
Yeah. No,
no, this
the
one was
EX
weird.
is 8, and
the normal was 8,
yeah.
like a normal trial, and the EX was 4, like a Monster Hunter party.
Monster Hunter Party. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible, Bel. Maybe we could duo it. I don't know.
You probably could duo it, and it would take a while. You should just bring more people so it goes faster.
I'm certain Waffles would probably be into it.
That's true. Like we've actually got people like logging on like pretty regularly. We could probably pull together 4 people and then just go in
Yeah.
unsynced and murder it repeatedly.
Does the mount actually drop, or is it only...
It can.
The mount theoretically drops.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I have never seen it.
I've seen it twice. So yes, it can drop. I can confirm.
I also need to pick up the rest of the Stormblood mounts at some point.
Now that I know I can easily solo extreme primals, I'll farm up the last few ponies that I don't have.
Yeah. The AR ponies are no problem these days.
Where do the dogs come
I've thrown away
from?
so many
Those are
whistles.
from Stormblood.
Yeah.
Those are Stormblood, yep.
Like,
I
those
need-
are the
I
ones
need
that
the
I have none
doggos.
of.
I mean, I have the one that I could get from Odd Tomestones. It's a cool looking one.
I'll
I
do
did not do that long enough to do
I'll
that.
do doggos with you, Bel. Like some of the I'm trying to remember if I feel like at least some of the Stormblood trials should be doable.
Suzaku is not doable.
But
That
no.
I can see why that one would not be.
The only
Sorry.
dog that I
Suzaku is
have,
difficult with a group of 8 at level 80.
the only doggo I have is the Reveling one,
Rejoice! I mean, wait.
because it was available with odd Moogle stones, and I did a ton of PvP and bought all the mounts. I also got the Demonic Lanner because it was available, and the weird ass looking unicorn
Ixion?
Ixion.
Ixion,
Oh, Ixion.
yeah.
Oh, I just got that
Ixion
for the fakes.
via the normal way.
And then for ponies, I have Nightmare and Efreet, and I don't know what Xanthos is. Is that Garuda?
Pretty sure,
I
yeah.
think so.
Titan, Leviathan, and Shiva.
So you're missing Ramu.
Ramu. Yeah, that's the only one
There's
I'm missing.
only one subtype of mounts I care about. Are they mechanical?
So I have some really bad news for you.
I know.
Do you want a PvP?
Well, no, he already did that.
I already did that one.
I think he already did both of those, I believe.
Well, like I have the one you can buy from the vendor. I'm talking about the even cooler ones that
Are you talking
require
about,
you to
like, the
rank in a
nodes?
season.
Oh, no, nobody cares about those.
They're like, some of those are freaking amazing though. They're really cool looking.
But the bad news I was referring to is the Shadowbringers Collect 'em All mount. It's a giant
Yeah.
mechanical dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I actually
I've seen people with it.
like
It's pretty impressive.
mechanical dragon. Not really my thing. Like mechanical things that look like other things. Not really my thing. What I want are like. I thought you were gonna say the Eden car because that sucks. I know, and I want it.
I mean, that might be a reasonable next expansion.
The
Might be a reasonable
Fantastic
go
Car.
back and do that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like
That's what I'm here for.
So the mount that I want, I don't know how I can get it, but I know it's horrible. I want the tank.
That's
Oh,
not
the Dwarf-
very
it's-
hard to get
Yeah,
at all.
it's
In
the
fact,
Dwarf
Beast
it's
Tribe
the Beast
class.
Tribe mount for dwarves.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's a Peace Tribe mount. It's
Yep.
easy. It just
I even
takes
have
time.
the-
Somebody
I
told
will
me it
say
was
that
horrible.
The one
No.
mechanical mount I have that looks like something else is the frog.
Frog.
I do like that one.
But yeah, no, get a crafting class to level 70 and go help dwarves.
Okay, that one. I'll do that one.
The dwarf stuff was actually pretty entertaining. That
Yeah,
was good
yes.
times.
Because dwarfs are amazing.
Yes.
So basically, I need to do the Moogle quests and then do the Namasu or whatever quests, and then
Yes. Which are
Dwarves.
also really entertaining.
That,
Yeah, the
yeah, they're
Namazu-
probably the best.
The Namazu are great, and they're extra great because you can level crafting or gathering with them, so they're really useful.
yeah, my gatherers are 61, 62-ish.
So you could go do Namazu with them now if you wanted to.
I don't know. Like, I feel like there's all these little systems that I never really spent time interacting with. And
Speaking
now
of
I'm
which,
interacting with.
hey, somebody, how does
Mhm.
gathering collectibles work now?
You just go find the thing, and there's a special window when you click on the collectible, and you do scrutiny, and then you do one of your things, and then you do scrutiny, and then you do one of your things, and then you collect them. And you maybe spend some gathering points on the give me one more gather.
Yep.
It's so much more simpler than it used to be.
Yeah, but I started learning it the old way, so the new way just confuses me.
No, there's basically just like, 5 abilities, and they're in their own little window, so they don't take up space on your bar. Fishing has not changed. collectibles for fishing still work the way they used to.
Yeah, but I never did fishing, so
I can basically just run my fishing up by doing ocean fishing, right?
Yes,
Yep.
you can ocean fish all the way up to 80.
Yeah, I need to figure out what lures I need for that and go to ocean fishing to get.
I mean, it's the 3 they sell on the vendor right there, right?
Yeah, just buy from the vendor.
I like fishing. Like, I don't know why I didn't do it for so long, because forever I had mining and botany, but I hadn't even trained fishing. And I don't know why I didn't touch it, but like, I really like fishing in this game. It's really fun.
Yeah, this is one of the better fishing implementations.
Like, I like the weird little things like mooch. like I caught some crazy specialty fish the other night, and like it arrived at the end of what was effectively 4 mooches in a row. And it popped up it was a green fish of it was like a ninja beta or something like that. And it like popped up a little thing on the screen with a picture of the fish. When I caught it,
For a long time, I didn't train fishing at all as a protest. I eventually did it so I could get more progress on the Ixal quests.
Yeah, it would suck if I didn't have higher level gatherers than the Ixal quests.
But you can do those with like level 1 fishing, level 1 gathering.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like once I started getting higher up in the Ixal quests, it was really asking me to go Corythus and mine or you know, chop down trees every day. Or fish. Fish in a latrine.
Considering they also bathe in that, I suspect it's not the same meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's 3 dudes sitting in it. I don't think... I mean, unless that's how they... Some things are better left unanswered.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Any final thoughts? Because we've probably gone over at this point.
I am quite glad that a bunch of people got banned for harassment as a result of the thing we talked about last time.
Yes. Like, I feel like it was very important that happened to like demonstrate quickly that no, bad behavior gets you banned. Be aware.
Yeah.
Like, and I from what I understand, I think it was like existing players.
Yep, it was.
Predominantly, I don't know.
And like for a few days prior to those bannings happening, Limsa chat had gotten a little surly.
I bet it had. For
lack of a better term. And now it's back to being the weird place it's always been.
Good. Yeah,
Yay.
I mean, I haven't had to like put anybody on my blacklist since I started playing it. Well, I put one person on for being just like extra weird, but
I need to clean out my blacklist because it was full of gold sellers.
Yeah, I went in and got rid of everybody that had, you know, the character no longer existed. But
Dear Square, give us easier ways to clean out like friends lists, ban lists, like any of the account no longer exists things. Just let us remove that for us. Just
give me a way to, if I blacklist someone and the list is full, ask me if I want to remove the person who has been on blacklist longest.
Right, exactly. Like,
There's
realistically, blacklist should work that way.
Have,
yeah,
starting with like half of its UI.
Yeah, the UI is overdue for a major overhaul, and I do keep hoping that maybe one day it'll happen.
Well, their systems are just designed weirdly.
Yeah,
like they are not a design pattern I would ever apply to the problem.
Yeah, no. I mean, you end up with weird situations like, you know, they're getting rid of belts so that they can repurpose those inventory slots because there's no other way to make more.
And I have to think a lot of this is design decisions that they've been forced into because the game was originally designed to run on a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Was it really, though?
That may have been part of it. I don't know.
I mean, you could play it on a PlayStation 3.
Not what I meant.
I suspect.
I'm referring to some design decisions that predate the ability for this thing to even approach running on a PlayStation 3.
Yeah. I suspect poor decisions were made like in building 1.0 and are just too ingrained for them to have been able to do much about them without completely throwing away the game.
Look, I remember Play Online.
Oh God.
There is
It still exists. You want to play
more
FF11,
modernized,
you still have to use it.
but there's a lot of the design, there's a lot of the like things that I expect that are just janky from Play Online are still here.
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest problem is Square was really bad at things for the PC a decade ago.
Yes.
Like, I remember when all of my friends first started playing Final Fantasy XI when it was a brand new game, and you couldn't choose what server you were on.
Yep.
World and you had to you had to literally delete your character and recreate a character over and over and over until you hopefully got random onto the same server.
Well, so they had a thing.
So that came later.
They were trying to solve a problem that they were trying to solve the problem of, hey, how do we deal with the fact that some servers get overcrowded?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is, if you're a dedicated enough player, you can spend resources by the time you're like, I don't know, level 25, 35 to get
buy
a ticket.
A world pass.
To get a ticket to allow one of your friends to join the server you're on.
Right. But it wasn't to move to that server. It was to create a brand new character on that server.
Yes.
Yes. It was a world pass for the server you were on, so you had to get it to one of your friends.
Yeah.
It was nonsense. And like, I remember when they were attempting to make a guild, people were grinding up to get to the point where they could get world passes so they could start to bring the other players on. Because there were like the ultra tryhard 6 or so that randomed their way by deleting and creating to finally get onto a server. And then the rest of us from EverQuest were like, that's bullshit. I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to stay in EverQuest. And they were trying really hard to recruit people over and grinding out world passes so they could just let them join the server.
I mean, FF11 did have one really important thing going for it. It ran on the PS2.
Yeah.
It did. And had a hard drive edition for the PS2.
Yep.
Yeah, was FF11 the first, like, actually fairly successful? Fairly successful. No, I remember EverQuest. I was in the beta for EverQuest Online Adventures.
I mean,
okay?
Fantasy Star Online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fantasy
I forgot
Star
about
Online,
Fantasy Star Online. Yes.
It's what I could still consider my first MMO. Like, I played it on the Dreamcast with a broadband adapter.
Yeah, see, it was on the Dreamcast, so I couldn't play it. So whatever.
Same. Anyway, we're probably more than a bit over time now.
Yeah, we're extremely over time. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Like, I guess this is what you get for us not having one last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And hopefully life will continue to be our friend and we'll have another show next week. Because, we've probably missed more this year than we've missed ever.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's a rough year. Yeah. Anyway. See y'all next week. Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.